Hey everybody, welcome back to
What's up,
another
what's up?
another episode of the Culture Cocktail Hour here.
Cheers, Travis.
Cheers to you, Kurt.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute, we got some White Russians here, and we got some pieces on the table here, but we'll get to that. We'll
Yeah.
get to that in due time. So I guess tonight's agenda, if you will. First topic, we're going to be talking a little bit about a bill that was just recently passed in the Iowa House. Kind of changing some of the regulations and rules around conceal and carry in the state of Iowa. And then we're going to segue a little bit into the tragedy that took place in, I believe it was Georgia.
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 Mhm.
I think he tried to cross like county lines.
Tried to go to Florida, they
Yeah,
said.
yeah. But some crazy, kooky guy who I will not name because I don't name mass shooters.
Mhm.
I refuse to do it. Acted in a terrible, irredeemable way. And people are very quick to lash out and blame guns as well as just white supremacy
Mhm.
and whiteness
Mhm.
when I think you're pulling out the conclusions, Matt, and jumping all over it for that one. I don't think you're actually
Mhm.
doing any evaluation. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about tonight,
Yep.
and how I'm not going to say how something like that could have been prevented, but a way in which people who are law-abiding could protect themselves from
Absolutely.
some madman
Yeah.
like that,
Yep.
and kind of has to deal a little bit with what I was doing here. So
Absolutely.
stick around. That's what we're talking about.
Boom.
Let's. All right. Welcome back. Even though I said that at the very beginning of the
You
episode.
say that every
Yeah,
episode.
that's what I do.
Alright.
It's because all right. How you doing, Kurt?
I'm doing great, Travis. How are you? Got some good news today, so I'm in a pretty freaking good mood.
You
so
did
yeah.
indeed get some good news
Yeah.
today. That's I'm happy for you.
Thanks,
It's
man.
gonna be. It's gonna.
I'm
be,
happy for me, too.
It's gonna be phenomenal. It's just gonna be great.
Yeah.
So I guess since it's kind of it's local news and it's important and it kind of revolves around some of the stuff we have on the table here. I believe it was Iowa Bill 746. I think is what the number one was.
I think it was. I got it
Yes,
over
they
here.
can pull it on up here.
If I can get to it here. Iowa Bill 756. House File 756.
Sorry, it was
No,
10
you're
off.
good.
It was 10 off. So, I think, well, yeah, this was last updated today, but I don't know
Yeah, at
if,
5 something p.m.
yeah, I think,
5:19.
I don't know if it was published earlier today or if it was published yesterday. Either way, fairly new, information coming out of the Iowa Congressional, authority here, if you will. Passed through the House, a gun bill, essentially kind of drawing back on some of the restrictions and regulations that go into carrying in the state of Iowa.
Mhm.
So I guess I'll just read off here.
Yeah.
Iowa House passed the measure late Wednesday night and will now send it over to the Senate. More than likely, it'll probably get passed in the Senate. This is red state America. They're probably going to be okay
Yeah.
with it. The bill makes it easier for Iowa gun owners to carry their guns in public. House File 756 would eliminate the requirement for a permit to purchase a handgun, but federal background checks would still be required by licensed dealers. Supporters say this will make dealers more cautious, but the bill's opponents disagree. Quote, "This language is absurd, in my opinion." Yes, in your opinion, Brian Mayer. Knows originally should know that the other person is ineligible to possess dangerous weapons. That means absolutely nothing from a legal standpoint. Okay, it's hard to make a determination on who is allowed to possess dangerous weapons or not, especially if they haven't undergone
Yeah.
like any mental evaluation or have been checked in or have parents that don't care. That's usually where this kind of thing happens, unfortunately. And this is from Republican Representative Matt Winch. How do you pronounce that?
Winchittle.
Winchittle?
Yep.
That's quite a name, my friend.
Yep.
If I don't make sure the person I'm selling to doesn't have a prohibition, then I'm now subject to a Class D felony.
Mhm.
It means I'm going to cover my hind end 6 ways from Sunday. That is the most Midwestern
Mm-hmm.
speak I've ever heard. But that's 100% true. If you now know that you yourself, a
Mm-hmm.
responsible gun owner, are going to get a Class D felony for selling a gun to somebody who then uses it for
Yep.
nefarious activities, I'd say that's
Of course,
I'd
yeah,
I'd say
yeah,
that's just as
yeah,
much of a gonna stop you
yeah.
from doing bad things.
And same with dealers. I mean, dealers are going to be more cautious as well. I mean, I would be.
I would knowing full well now that I'm not going to be held accountable for what gets done with the gun, but I can be charged legally
Yeah.
and fined,
Yeah,
and I can
absolutely.
possibly undergo jail time. That is important.
Mm-hmm.
Gun dealers would continue conducting FBI background checks before selling someone a gun. 18 other states have a similar law. You pointed that out before we
Yeah,
kind of
it's
started
nothing
recording.
new.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is nothing new. Multiple states have done this now. I will
That's
say,
that's a third of the country almost.
yeah, no, it is
Yeah.
like
Right
easy-
at about it.
Yeah, I mean, hell, you're you're 7 away from half the United States. So yeah, that's a sizable majority of the country. How many of those states have reciprocity laws into Iowa? You bet, or like vice versa.
Oh well, I mean, Iowa's reciprocity is kind of crappy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, we are allowed to carry in quite a few states, but it's not like how I would want it to
Yeah,
be.
it's
I
like
think
the
it's
one-
like 36 states that accept
And it's
it.
funny. It's like the ones right next to us don't allow us.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
bring it.
Minnesota
It's
does not.
Minnesota,
Illinois
Michigan.
does not. Michigan, I think you can. Michigan, you can,
Yeah.
but with restrictions.
Restrictions wasn't the same for Missouri.
Yeah,
too.
Missouri's with restrictions. Nebraska's with restrictions.
Yeah, and I guess I'm sure that's just
Colorado's with restrictions.
I'm not surprised.
But I mean, the only restriction with that is it can't be a professional permit to carry. So non-professional. Is
Oh,
what
yeah,
they,
I remember.
What they
Yeah.
allow,
Yeah.
which is what we obviously have. So.
Yeah, I'm not a security
Yeah, I'm
guard,
not a-
so I have
right,
a
yeah.
non-professional permit to
Mhm.
carry. And I guess we'll just kind of talk about this for a
Yeah.
little bit. I see no problem with this. I think this is
No.
what you and I talked about at work kind of today. Was it's essentially
Honestly, I don't think it'll change much. I think people will still. I mean, if you're gonna carry a gun, you better get some sort of training.
yeah. I think you should still have to-
Definitely get training,
I would.
please.
I should.
I don't want your ass going around
Yes,
carrying a gun if you're not going to get any sort of
That's
training.
a fantastic point. I think you should take just that. What anybody takes to get a concealed carry
Yeah.
license. Take that.
Mhm.
Just take that.
Even though
show
you may
that-
not have to
Yes,
anymore.
show that, yes, even though you may not have to, take that.
Yeah.
It's important knowledge and it's beneficial to you.
Mhm.
It's nothing but beneficial. And you're going to learn the ins and outs of simplistic firearms. You're just going to do it. How dare you?
Oh my goodness.
But no, you're
Fix
fine.
that
Don't
real
worry
quick.
about it. And that is important, especially if you're going to be carrying a weapon. And I know you and I have talked about it on here before. We both have our permits to carry.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
that's why we got-
as a parent right here, and part of that was, and I think you've
But I
made
could field strip that gun in a matter of seconds.
in a matter of
you know?
seconds. I
I'm
know,
telling you,
I know the ins and outs of it. I when you buy a gun, read the manual. Just the
Mhm.
same thing for anything else that you spend a lot of money on. You learn how to effectively use, store, transfer, and position yourself with these things.
Oh yeah, that's what we're going to talk about for sure when we get a little bit further into this.
Yeah.
When we get into the next topic
Mhm.
of conversation.
No, absolutely, and that's a big part of responsible gun ownership as well. And I think that's why something like this gets passed so overwhelmingly in the Iowa Congress. Government, and especially small government, because Iowans aren't huge fans of big government. We're small
No.
government, leave
No
us
one should
alone
be
people.
huge.
Yes, exactly. Nobody should be fans of big government. But even at our small government level, we try to elect and appoint people that are open and transparent about their views, and those views being, yeah, I know the people I represent and my constituents aren't dumb and they can take care of themselves. I do it. I know my immediate family and friends do it. I know Tim, my next door neighbor, does it. Like things like that. I know people take care of themselves because that's what humans are supposed to do. And one thing that humans can do constitutionally is keep and bear arms. And within the confines of certain states will draft up different laws, which is how it's supposed to be. You can carry a weapon
Yeah.
out in public, open to a lot of states just allow you to open carry, which
Yeah.
is if you just have it out and open and show that you're carrying a weapon,
Absolutely.
they're like, yeah, fine.
Even Democratic states, I'm
yes,
pretty sure.
a lot of states are fine with open
Yeah.
carry because it shows that you're carrying a weapon. understandable to an extent. I see why people see the word concealed carry and probably freak out a little bit because they just think of some dude in a trench coat just
exactly.
going like this,
Yeah.
as opposed to
Which is what
me,
not
a
what it's
human
like.
being, just
Right.
carrying a holster on my side
Yeah.
and having a gun in my
Yeah.
holster that I use to protect myself and my loved ones. So I see no problem with this, and I guarantee you it goes through.
Well, I mean, the reason why it will go through is because it's ran by mostly Republicans.
Yes.
Other than that, if it was
Iowa-
it was a split, because I think you have to have a, is it a 60 in the Iowa Senate? 60.
That would
I can't remember the majority
Yeah,
line that you have
it's-
to be in.
it's something.
But
like
you
that.
know, a Democrat in the House also voted for this.
Good.
Yeah,
Well,
all Republicans and one
Democrat. And I guarantee you every auntie was just
Mm-hmm.
yeah, your who's
Mhm.
of who's who's ready to go. Yeah, I think something like this here in Iowa. Well,
In Iowa, I agree with this.
yes.
In other states, I might not.
Well, it's like, well, what was it? The statistics we were looking up on USCCA, U.S. Concealed Carry Association.
yeah.
It shows the statistics for permits acquired, guns,
Yep.
who does it, all this stuff.
The percentage of Iowans.
Iowans is over 10%.
It's almost 12%.
Iowans is
yeah.
close to 12%. You look at states around us, it's single digits. It's,
Some of them are 0.05. Guess what
Yes.
states those are?
they're- yeah, I
California,
was gonna say
New York.
California, Illinois.
Illinois.
Well, Illinois has a lot of guns, but they're not legally
Yeah,
registered.
exactly.
Which is another counter argument to yes, Brian Mayer here. Well, not exactly to what he said
Yeah,
there, but
no.
knows originally should know that the other person is ineligible to possess dangerous weapons. Just making it so people can't purchase weapons, through a mom and pop shop or through Shields, doesn't mean people stop getting guns.
They'll get them illegally somehow. They're in circulation. They always have been. They always will be. You're not,
And you
gonna
can't
get rid
track
of
them
No,
because
you cannot.
this thing that marks what my gun is scratched off.
Yeah.
Because they don't want it to be
Yeah, they have
tracked
no
because
idea.
they own an illegal
Yeah, I
weapon.
mean, mine. Where's yours at?
My serial number?
Yeah, it's yours on the side.
Mine's on the barrel, right there.
Oh, it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mine's empty. So I'll show you that mine's empty, just so you know.
Yeah.
Mine's actually on the underside, on this different like.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I usually see them, is
Yeah.
on like on the
but
bottom
you
side
got
of the
a
barrel.
you got a little. Oh,
Mine's-
you got a rail. Oh, I got a rail there too.
Yeah,
actually.
it's like kind of on the
Yeah.
uppermost and then kind of the inside on the. You guys like guns?
Yeah,
because we do.
You want to look at?
You want to just look at my gun?
When we're talking about field strip, I mean, you can literally take this. I flip this up.
Yep. It's just
I know
that
there's a couple little pins and stuff
Well,
in
even
here that you
well,
take
it's
out.
like but then mine is pull back, slide lock, flip switch, mag release, push forward.
That's it.
Ta-da!
See, so you
You
know.
have a deconstructed gun.
Yeah.
And
It's-
then mine's got like a few other rules because it's got a palm safety. As you're,
Well, so does mine. Yeah.
it's like as you're pushing it back, you can't press in on it. You
Yep.
can't pull the trigger, as with any gun.
Back together. But I'll leave it open just so people know that it's not loaded.
Gun on the mic, and just like that. Ah, it's a great sound. Oh, I love that sound. Oh, I love that.
It
noise.
is. It's a nice sound.
It's one of my favorite noises.
Yep.
Not even a magazine.
What does yours hold there?
Mine holds
8?
8, 1 in the chamber.
8, 1 in the chamber?
Yeah.
So you need
I do need an extendo clip.
12, 1 in the chamber.
Nice.
Yeah.
I do.
But I also have my extra. Mag as well. This one's only 9 though, so
It's like you say, Kurt, and I do think it is a good mantra to live by. It's keep one in the chamber.
always.
I just gotta keep one.
I'm sorry. When a split second matters, or
You're not gonna have time to do that.
Yep,
You're not gonna have time to rack.
You
And
know how long it takes to get it
oh
out.
yeah, and
rack?
how loud that is.
Yep.
People, psychopaths become very. I can't speak for psychopaths. I'm not a brain doctor. But what I can say is that it seems to me that psychopaths and crazy people that want to do damage want to commandeer power and feel in control. That's why any time ever, any recreation, any actual event, you see somebody go in and start yelling at people and then just pointing the gun at people. Because now they're top dick.
Yep.
They showed that they have all the power when in actuality
No,
they don't. They
the
just
weakest.
exactly.
The loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room.
You just you essentially took the thing that man made to make everybody equivalent, and now saying, screw everybody, I'm top dog, and everybody in this room can die,
Yep.
because you're a sick, demented person, and that's god awful. But what can happen is that people like Kurt and myself here, we can own these things, and we can carry them,
and
then
you
we
should feel safe. We've talked about this before. You should feel safer with us.
Now knowing that, and to be honest, I experienced this last weekend when I went out with my friends, bar hopping. I carried on me
because you can in Iowa.
Because I can in Iowa, and I did not get belligerently drunk.
No.
Welcome to the world where I can control myself. And I didn't tell anybody for most of the night, because one, to me, that's the whole part of it. The whole point is
to not
you don't know that I have it, and that's the way it goes. I let it slip one time, or I said something about how I had recently purchased a gun to my buddy, and he goes, "No way." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm carrying it right now." And I made him, and he said, "Let me see it." I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
We'll get to a place where we're in the car.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'll get to a place where I can kind of, and then hand this off to you. But I would say that there was one, because they were all kind of drunk. It was mainly just one person who was going to go, "Oh, this guy's got a gun," not out loud, but like to our group of friends, just kind of as a joke. But even still, once they knew that I had it on me, or they had known that I had recently acquired it and I was still carrying, they just went, "Oh, okay, awesome." Sweet.
I mean, it's Iowa.
It's Iowa. Yeah, it's a way of life here almost. I mean, everybody does it. And it was also, it's like I'm not using
Almost
it.
Everyone I know has a permit to carry.
And I'm not using it to rob the bars we're going to. It's like I'm just carrying it to protect us.
Absolutely.
We're going to bars that I haven't been to before, and you, my friend, are telling me people that look like me have gotten their ass kicked in these bars before because they look a little, city folky or whatever. So I'm gonna carry a gun. That's just a quick little side note, but I think that's especially here in the Midwest of all places, and especially in Iowa, a lot of people are just going, "Yeah, I can carry a gun. I have gone through all the avenues I can to conceal this weapon, so I'm going to." And like you say, you should. I do that because I want you to feel more safe around me, not because I want to strike fear into you. It's me protecting.
I want you to feel
you.
like
I protect.
If something pops off, I know that I'm probably okay. I'm better off being with you than I am with Joe Schmo over there who doesn't have one.
Who I don't know whether they do or do not.
Right.
And
maybe they do.
Yeah, and that's where that part of that training comes in. You learn how to, learn how to read a room in the way that you.
It's called situational awareness.
Yes.
So anywhere we go, I mean, even at work, I'm always like, my back is never to the door.
Back's never to a door.
I'm always kind of aware of my surroundings. That's why I used to have earbuds in, and then I kind of stopped doing that because I'm like, I can't hear what's going on I get
into a bad habit of that.
Yeah, I know you, but you have one in, and you always have one ear open. Even with one in, I noticed that it still hindered my hearing. So I just want to be aware of my surroundings. I know we still have the music on going and stuff like that, but I can still hear better.
I can hear through that, I can as opposed to when it's right in my ear. The earphones that I have.
Yeah, those are noise canceling.
Yeah, they have noise cancellation, so that's why I really only wear one. Is because if I wear two, I'm never going to
hear anything.
Thing that goes on back there.
So situational, especially in restaurants and bars, I'm always aware. I remember when I used to go out and I used to carry, after I first got my permit to carry, I'd be afraid of imprinting.
I remember you and I talking about this. And this
so
is
I'd like
something
bend over, or my shirt was a little tight, and I'd be afraid that you'd see a little bulge here and there, or I would carry in my back, and I would bend over and you could see the butt of the gun.
So you can see a mag sticking
right,
out or whatever.
But and then I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, no one knows.
No one knows.
No one. They could see that and be
unless
like,
they're looking.
Maybe that's a belt or like a phone, something. Like something. They don't know.
They don't know, and even if they do,
some people might because they either they're a cop or they also carry in, so they know exactly what it's like.
On this, like, that's a holster clip right there. That's what that is, and it's kind of like the.
But at that point, like, I don't care. Like,
well, I don't care, and then also the people that notice it, it's gonna be kind of like the the whole Jeep wave thing. How it was like well, it could go for anything, but it's like, the two guys that are driving Jeeps and they're going past each other. They just simply see each other and they wave at It's like bike stuff. Things like that. You see somebody who is carrying a gun in public, and maybe you are at the time as well or not, but it's like you see that they're doing it. I have a perfect story for this. You see that you're doing it and you just go, nice.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with it. I was walking around downtown. I don't know if I told you this story. I was walking around just downtown. I was getting used to just feeling what
you told me. You just went on a walk.
I walked. I walked down to Come and Go that was like recently put downtown, and then walked up to the Capitol and back to my apartment. And I was just walking around with my holster on just to get used to what that felt like. And it's a little weird at first because it's like you just feel like you have a boil on the side of your body, but then it's like, okay, that's.
Did you have the gun in it or no?
Yes, I had the gun in it. Yeah.
So it's weird. You got like a couple pounds of weight.
Yeah, let's say you have like the holster as it's pushing up up against your side, and you get used to that. Especially the way I tuck in my undershirt for it, so it's like not right,
exactly.
Anything. And then you'll kind of feel like the metal of the of the grip on your side sometimes, depending on how you're standing, and but you get used to it really quickly. It just becomes. I don't notice it anymore. It just kind of becomes second nature. The only time I kind of really take it off, and you've seen, is like when I'm doing work or like when things are getting hectic or whatever, and I have to need quite a bit more mobility. Yeah. I'll take it off. But while I was on that walk, I was walking down in front of for you Des Moines people, was walking in front of where the Blazing Saddle's at, out across the street from good old Raygun. Oh yeah, just the. Yeah. Just just a place of centrist thought, the East Village, that's for sure.
Good East Village.
And so next door,
you do live in the heart of liberalism.
I do. Trust me, man.
Nothing against.
No, I have no problem with it. I've lived in Des Moines for 2 years now, and even in those 2 years, I've seen a change. Like it's gone through quite a bit, even through then. Granted, we've had 2 presidents since then, and both of them stirred excitement within youth, and that's all that exists in the East Village. I digress. Next to Blazing Saddles, there used to be like a little floral shop, but that went out of business, I think probably because of COVID. I don't know specifically, but I wouldn't be surprised. And then it's turning into a tattoo parlor. It's just turning into a tattoo place, and they're just gutting it. They're redoing the inside. They got to refurbish it. And there's a guy out in front of the storefront, using just like a table saw, cutting some 2x4s, and he's kind of leaned over, and it glinted something like off his back, like the small of his bag, and his belt buckle, and was like really glinting. I'm like, what the hell is that? And I just looked down, and he just got a 1911, just jammed.
That's a big gun to be carrying, man.
Just jammed in
his pants.
No, he had a holster. He had a holster, but it was on his back.
The other one that I have. Yes, I have a leather back holster.
I don't. Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was like a Kydex or a plastic, or if it was a leather. Yeah. Either way, I just saw him have a gun on his back, and I didn't think two dams of it. I literally just saw and went, nice. Yeah. One, for me, it was like, okay, I'm carrying and somebody else is carrying, so I don't feel weird.
He's carrying for his protection as well.
Yes, and what you were saying about the imprinting thing, that's something like for about the first week and a half, 2 weeks, I was kind of whatever on, and I noticed that even, especially when I'm out in public, I'll do this a lot. I'll tag it. So if you ever see me do that, it's probably because I'm...
you're still getting used to that.
I'm still getting used to that.
But I'm going to tell you right now, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, so
I think you were carrying one day. I had no clue. Like, there's no... I mean, I carry,
Granted, I wear very baggy clothing, and I wear like 3 to 4 layers at a time.
Right, so that helps.
That does help. But even still, concealing and carrying, it doesn't matter. Even... because what you'll see a lot of... what I would call would term the dad carry of it's just a tucked in shirt to some jeans and then an inside the waistband holster, and you can just see it. You know it's there, and it's concealed, but it's not. And I've just never really liked that.
No,
I don't like that.
tuck in my shirts.
Well, that too, and the only reason I do is because I have 3-4 layers.
Your undershirt.
Yes, like
right. But
my
I mean, I've
shirt.
seen older gentlemen that just tuck in their shirts
tucking in the
until their gun is sticking out.
Tucking in the Tommy Bahama t-shirt into the jeans or whatever. And I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm going to carry it in my waistband, and it's probably going to sit there.
Yeah.
Lord willing, it's going to sit there until I
die.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, Lord willing, it will sit there until I die, because I don't want to use this thing. I buy it just in case I need to, and I have to. Yes, it's insurance.
It's the best form of life insurance.
It is the best form of personal life insurance you could ever invest in. And I think we can kind of jump off that into the kind of the next topic.
Section? I kind of left this up the whole time.
No, hey, don't even worry about it. It'll be fine. Hey, do you want the news summarized each morning?
No,
not from CNN. That's for sure.
So I'll go up here so we can at least see the headline.
Yeah. So
CNN, get off there.
Yeah, just there you go.
CNN, you suck.
Okay, so here's what you need to know about the Metro of Atlanta shootings that left 8 dead. That's what CNN has to say. Anyway, yes,
I'm gonna go down. We know. I think a lot of people know about this already. Where it took place.
It came out in Georgia. It came out. This was what, Tuesday.
Yeah, this was Tuesday.
Yeah. Excuse me. And I believe it was 8 women were killed.
Yeah, eight women.
Yes. 2 were pronounced dead at the scene, 2 others died at the hospital. 1 person was also wounded.
It's 8 total.
I was gonna say I saw 8 total that were killed
from 3 different locations.
Yeah, from 3 different locations. 6 were of
Asian descent.
Pacific, East Asian descent, and then even from then it was like some were Korean, some were Asian.
It says 2 were white.
Here we go.
So
yes, and then a quarter of them were white. That's another thing that is just going to get glossed over by people like. I'm surprised they even mentioned it here. Actually, what I should say, why the ethnicity of the people involved even matters.
Right, but I mean,
shouldn't.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but also notice. Oh, they probably can't see it. Yeah, look. CNN. We are reading an article from CNN.
Yes.
Because we still read articles from
just because
publications we don't really care for.
Just because it's a former newspaper doesn't mean it doesn't produce news. So, it's still there. The 4 killed in the shooting near Woodstock were Delania Ashley Yan, 33, of Octworth, Paul Andre Michael.
So I'm assuming he was probably there getting a massage.
Probably.
Massage.
Yes, and see, that's another. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
The injured survivor was LCSR Hernandez Ortiz, 30, of Ackworth. We never know when we're at the wrong place at the wrong time, and I feel that that's what happened.
Yeah.
I think that's a more accurate summation of what actually happened.
Exactly.
Why I say that is, if you were to just read through MSM, mainstream media, of headlines of what took place in Atlanta on Tuesday, which was an act of evil and irredeemable by this man. I mean, he should be going to death row. He killed 8 people.
I agree.
The dude's on death row. That's just how it works.
That's a mass murder.
That's a mass murderer. I will wholeheartedly agree with that. Where I will start to diverge from a lot of MSN and more leftist progressive train of thought is the idea that this was racially motivated, or that this is the because you're seeing a lot right now, and statistically accurate, an increase in anti-Asian hate crimes, which has been increasing since about 2018, 2019. You're seeing a push from CNN's, MSNBC's, your left string MSN.
In every article, it's everything. Everything has to do about race.
It's okay, who killed them? What race is he? Right. And then who were the victims, and what race were they? And what
they always put it even in their headlines. Who is white or who is black? You know what I mean? They'll name the name, and then they'll say who is white. Why
does it matter?
Is that relevant?
Well, and I thought I was listening to a podcast today, and he is a conservative talking head, if you want to call it that. His name is Matt Walsh. He's on the Daily Wire. Yeah. On his show today, he was talking about why a story like this is getting news, as it should. It's important news, but something like what had happened within the last few months, and forgive me, I don't have exact facts sheet right in front of me, but it's a.
Oh, you have it on your phone though, don't you?
I can. I'm not talking about that.
Oh, you're talking about
that stat sheet, but I can pull that stat sheet up after we talk a little bit more. Excuse me. It was a. an interaction, an altercation, in a crime involving an Asian American woman in a park where she was tortured, raped, and burned, and then just left in the park. God awful, terrible. Did you ever hear about that?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nobody ever heard about it. In the end, the perpetrators were black. They ended up being black. Not saying that black people always commit crime. It's just saying this specific example. Yeah. I didn't hear a chirp. I didn't hear a damn thing. This happened a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I didn't hear a thing. I didn't hear at all. But the second some kooky, sex-addicted, crazy white guy went out and does some crazy sex-addicted, psychopathic stuff, it becomes, this is whiteness. Yeah. This is the problem of white people, and this is what white people do, which in and of itself is inherently racist. So it's just a vicious circle, this whole thing. It becomes, see, this is the white man. This is the white man persecuting minorities and people of color, when statistically on average they do not. And then it becomes a talking point for minority groups. And then it becomes, see, you just want to systematically eliminate us. You just want to kill us. You don't like us. I never said that. No. I never once said that. No. You're just having misinformation fed directly into you and believing it.
What color's your girlfriend?
My girlfriend is mixed. Yeah. My girlfriend has a black father and a white mother.
Right.
And
but you're white. You should not.
I should
hate, right?
Yeah, I should just despise her. Yeah. There should be just a part of me that
it's inherent, right?
Yes, it's an inherent bigotry. You know, it's almost a virus.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, I just go home and then just kick in that door and then throw on the Grand Wizard outfit and go get.
Don't go in there because people are gonna be like, whoa, they're gonna take it literal.
This guy's a grand.
This guy's crazy.
This guy's a grand Cyclops in the KKK or something.
They will take it literal.
No, they guarantee people would take it literally because
we got to get this guy.
I know we got to get this crazy right winger who I don't know. So, you can't come after me. I will say that right now. You can't cancel me. You can't. No. You can't. One, I won't allow it to happen. Yeah. And two, there's nothing you can cancel me for. Yeah. Me voicing my opinion or me saying something is not. That's not grounds to just completely destroy my life.
I agree, Travis.
So it's just...
I just wanted to get that out there. I think we've talked about it before.
We probably have, but even still, that's... and,
Just to give it a little
more...
For
some people, it does sound like the, I have a black friend argument. And that's not the argument I'm trying to make. The argument is...
I have a black friend.
Yeah, I do too. I have a few black friends.
I have several.
Yeah. I'd say the point of the argument that you brought up there is that it's... Me being... very involved with somebody who is somebody of mixed descent who has black and white blood in them and then has dealt their entire life having both sides tell them, yeah, you're not us because you're that. She has dealt with that, and I know that. And even for someone like her, she'll stand up and go, yeah, this shit's dumb, because it does not matter. It
doesn't matter.
The color of their skin does not matter. Had you gone back to 1950s, 1940s, Dixiecrat South, which were former Democrats.
We were talking about this earlier before you got here.
Had you gone to the South and told them that in about 60, 70 years, they're going to be espousing the same nonsensical bullcrap that you are now, about the idea that whites are superior, whites control everything, they're supposed to control everything, they want to keep people down, you'd be baffled by how much they agree with you. You would. And I think that should be eye-opening for you. I think it should, because it's asinine to think that white people just inherently think lesser of other ethnic groups simply because of the color of their skin. It's almost, it's so asinine it's ironic, because it is literally racist to do that, and it makes no sense to me. Yeah, what was it recently that popped up? It was about the Grammys. It was the shit that happened at the Grammys. Cardi B performing her
I didn't watch it.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know. Yeah,
I didn't even know it was.
That was because viewership was down half from what it was last year, and even that was.
It's the Grammys.
Yeah,
like nobody
cares. Get woke,
go broke. Good job.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a fantastic point, because that's if. Yeah, exactly. If you're on Twitter and you are in the realm of what is the word?
Get off Twitter, man.
I need to get off Twitter. Well, to be honest, I haven't been on Twitter in a while. I only Twitter gets thrown into my face when I'm listening to news that involves Twitter, or then I go on it to look about it. I've been off Twitter kind of for a little bit now. I really don't go on it too much anymore. There was Cardi B performing just the Shakespearean level rap song.
It wasn't just who did it with her. Who else was
it? Was Megan Thee Stallion.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah. Exactly. It two female rap artists singing the good old song WAP, which is
was it nominated for Song of the Year too, or something like that?
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. And what you're seeing a lot of conservatives, the conservative point you're seeing about a lot of that stuff is if you don't look at that and see cultural rot, you're probably a little backwards in the way you perceive culture to be. That's
delusional.
That's the word that I had heard. And I'd say that's a fairly sound argument. Because the argument that I heard was essentially what was on the stage of the Grammys that night. What would have constituted softcore porn in like the late 90s. Like it was just very over the top, raunchy, simulating lesbian sex acts on stage just because you can. Quick side note: what I think is funny about that is that it then becomes, so you just don't want to see it. You're a man. I don't think men have a problem with it, honey. And this goes back to something.
I have a problem with it.
I do kind of have a problem with it because it's a little ridiculous, and then you're saying that's. See, this is empowering. Yeah. That's the main problem a lot of people have, is that you turn around and say, this is empowering, and you should applaud it, and you should, pat me on the back for it.
No.
So that prompted Candace Owens, good old Blexit Candace Owens, love her or hate her. I'd say she has good points at times, and she's a very...
she's very outspoken.
Yes, she's very outspoken. Yeah. She's willing to put her opinion out there. But then she also doesn't just... she doesn't just BS you. She knows what the hell she's talking about. And, she responded to her on Twitter. And it was like, if you think this is empowering and important, you've got another thing coming.
Absolutely.
I think she used the words along the line of, you are a cancer cell on the cultural sphere. I think that's what she used, which is pretty harsh language. I'll give her that. But like, I give a hell what Cardi B has to say.
No.
And then Cardi B claps back with with a literally Photoshop tweet from Candace saying that like she had sent it out.
No, she's suing her now.
Yeah, she is. She is suing. Good for her. She should, because literally what Candace said is like, okay, so you're just gonna slander me?
It's plagiarism, or not plagiarism? It's slander.
It's slander and libel. It's literally slandering her brother, which is a private citizen, and her husband, which you have no right to do.
Yeah.
And you're saying that you have now seen this thing which doesn't exist. So, do I think it's a little dicky getting your lawyers involved in things? Yeah. With that, should she? Hell, why not? Cardi B's got billions. Cardi B has 5 sports cars and doesn't have a license.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That is a legitimately fact. Yes. She has 4 or 5.
Driven around everywhere.
Yes, she has 4 to 5, super cars. Like,
what's the point there?
I don't know.
What in the world? Why does she not have a license?
I have because she used to drug and rob people in hotel rooms, and was I really had to do that, but I was making 3
role model, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say a fantastic human.
Let your children listen to
I had
Cardi
to do that.
B.
I had to do that. I was making $3,000 a night stripping, but I had to go take this man to the hotel room and then drug him and then rob him. I'm not saying there's statute of limitations, but just you don't just say that and be like, yeah, see, I got away with it. That's not something. It's like OJ writing if I would have done it, when we literally all know he did it. It's that kind of mentality. It's not the same thing as murder, but it's like, dude, you're admitting to drugging and robbing people. That's not good. And that was essentially what like the Twitter spat between Candace Owens and Cardi B was. It was, If you think this is empowering, it was a great line. Candace said, if you think this is empowering and if you think this is uplifting young black women of all things, or just young women in general, look who owns the Grammys. Look who owns the television show you're performing on. Look who owns your record company. I guarantee you it's some balding 70-year-old white dude who doesn't know your actual name and just wants you to go out there and flaunt your body.
You're a paycheck.
You are a paycheck. And that has nothing to do with her being a woman or even a Hispanic woman.
Nothing about it.
To Hollywood and to the record industry, to the movie industry, to the entertainment industry in general, you are a pawn. You can be moved to make them more money, but on the surface, it looks like you're making money, and you are making money for now. Wait 5 years and see if you are continuing to make that much money. I guarantee you won't.
But you're probably set by then. If you're smart with your with your money.
Well, I mean, Cardi B owns 5 sports cars.
Yeah,
it doesn't
not
own
too
a
smart with
license,
their
so
money.
clearly not the smartest individual. But hey, I know nothing.
Anyways, we digress.
I digress.
No. But we can go back to
yes, we'll go back to this terrible story out of Georgia, and there's homie.
Yeah,
I won't say his name, even though it's clearly on. It's clearly on there.
We
but
don't want to do that.
Yeah,
so we don't care about your name. His intentions. This is where I kind of wanted to get into.
Yeah, this is perfect. Preliminary information indicates the shootings could relate to the suspect's claim of a potential sex addiction. I shouldn't say that I'm seeing. What I'm hearing is that it's a lot of mainstream media people going, well, can we just take a criminal at his word? I get that. Criminals are pretty forthright of why they do things.
Right.
It's like, the Christchurch shooter. Dude was like, I'm a white supremacist. Yeah. That's why I went and shot up a mosque.
And you said something earlier about white supremacists, right? White supremacists. They usually will come right out and say it.
Yeah.
Or the reason for whatever it is that they're doing, the crime that they've committed. I'm a white supremacist.
Any of the more recent white supremacist attacks or white nationalist attacks. Yeah. I say white nationalist attacks because that's fairly right. White nationalism, if it exists, is on a scale of yay big.
It's infinitesimal.
It doesn't. Yeah, it does not go boot.
Yeah. So I honestly believe what if he told them
I would believe
it wasn't
that somebody
race related.
Yes, because exactly
he had frequented in all these places that he'd
been there multiple times.
Right,
he'd been there multiple times,
and you know what he was there for? It's a massage parlor.
He was there for the full service.
Right, the full service. Yeah. The extra little.
Yes, I was gonna say exactly. The happy ending.
Yeah,
happy ending. Happy ending. We know violence against Asian Americans is an issue that's happening around the country. It is unacceptable, it is hateful, and it has to stop. I agree.
Did CNN write an article about that woman that you were talking about earlier?
That's a good question. I don't believe they did or not. What I think is funny about that, there's still a lot of work to be done. We're just not there yet, Bryant said. This is Atlanta Police Chief Rodney Bryant. Grant, I shouldn't quote him on that. That's him saying about this certain case is that we just don't know enough yet.
Yeah.
And that's what I was mentioning about earlier is that people just take out the conclusions, Matt, and then jump all over it because if you're the guy that theorizes the conclusion before it actually gets solved, you're the dude. You figured it out, and we're gonna come to you for everything now. Based on the current information and the fact that he didn't walk into the massage parlor and go, where are all the Asian Americans at? Where are they all at? I'm gonna go shoot him. He shot clearly a Hispanic man
and a white man
and 2 white women as well as Asian American women. I think the question for me then would to be asked, okay, is it predominantly that Asian women were killed more in this scenario because they do work in like the massage parlor and like manicure, pedicure industry?
That's exactly right. It's full of them.
The body industry.
So the odds were, obviously more in the Asian.
High. Yeah. And it's terrible, but once again, this is you using information thrown at you, and if you want to say stereotyping, fine, whatever. I'm using information, and I'm going off the fact that if the multiplicity of women killed in this scenario were of Asian American descent, but even they were not of all the same Asian ancestry. And then it wasn't only Asian American women. I'm going to come to the conclusion that it was not a race motivated shooting.
So let's veer off that a little bit and talk about, so if you get into his history, you talk to his acquaintances and what they say about him. Let's just read a little bit about that because this is...
I didn't actually know about this. He spent time in rehab for addiction.
For sexual addiction. And I don't know if it was this article or a different article that I read, but someone else that grew up with him said that he was a quiet boy who was a good kid, never a problem or anything like that, was a member of a church, very frequent in the church often. It was a Baptist church. And it just goes to show that I don't care if you're a member of a church or not. If you have obviously he had some sort of an addiction, and he struggled with it.
And you can be addicted to sex.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
Hands down.
Absolutely.
Hands down. So.
There's a lot of people that are addicted to sex, man. It's probably the most easily...
You can be addicted to stamp collecting.
Yeah. Then you
can be addicted to the thing that releases endorphins.
Right. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Anyways, so this kid obviously had mental issues, probably large ones. And it probably built up. Think about it. So this last year, we've been cooped up.
That's what I was thinking about.
And
too.
I'm like, man, this probably all just piled on him over this last year. And
it's not justifying
or
anything.
I'm totally not. I'm not.
I'm getting. This is what I do, and Kurt and I will do this at work. We get into the minds of people.
Right.
We try and figure out why somebody would do what they would do, even if I personally wouldn't do it.
So I'm thinking to myself, like, if I'm this kid and I have a sexual addiction that no one knows about, and I'm sitting at home.
I have a sex addiction, probably from porn.
Yeah, probably from porn. Probably. Man, that's probably all he did all day long.
No, that's what I'm saying. And
then he would go frequent these places to also
get a full service massage.
And then the other part of it is you're a part of the church, which tells you this is bad. This is horrible. This is terrible. You are a bad human being. So in his mind, he's just doing this thing. I am a terrible human being. I need to stop this. And I think in his mind, the only way that he could stop it was to go
taking out to him in his sick twisted mind. In his sick twisted mind, it was okay. I'm addicted to these individuals. I have to
eliminate,
get rid of them.
Yep.
I have to eliminate them, which is an incorrect way of thinking, but
it is
more than likely. I shouldn't say more than likely. That does sound like a conclusion a psychopath would come to.
Absolutely.
If they are sex addicted and they go, okay, I go to these places to get my release. They're clearly the ones that did this to me, even though it was him. He did this to himself. And this is once again one of these. It's not white. It's not black. This is a sea of gray. Yes. This is a terrible situation of a bunch of people that were innocent, and then one evil person that acted on an urge that was incorrect and sinful, regardless of whether you believe in sin or not. But that's sinful. It's sinful behavior, and it's god awful. Either way, I was just. One, for me, it was you hear conservative pundits kind of talk about it. It's in the idea that mainstream media loves this stuff, as morbid and macabre as that sounds to say.
Well, they froth at the mouth.
They froth at the mouth at this stuff. They love it. They want to know the name. That's why his name is all over this page.
Every single
paragraph, his name. He's got his photo. They have why he did what he did.
I was saying his name.
Don't even worry about it. But it's just
not saying his first name.
They want that. They want the sensationalism. They want to pull you in and then hear what they have to say as opposed to reporting what actually happened. And this I was reading this line. Yeah, go down to where his acquaintances and stuff. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this will be perfect. Long didn't talk about his addiction, the roommate said, but had seemed to be doing better by the time he had left the transition house. The roommate said he hadn't been in contact with Long, quote, in a long time. Long seemed to have, quote, self-hatred, the roommate said. I believe that. There's a lot of people. You can be a self-deprecating, self-hating person and still not go out and kill people, but I would understand somebody like this having bouts of self-hatred.
So look at it this way. He could have gone off if he was really I think in his mind, he honestly thought that if he eliminated these people,
sex objects,
then his need for sex would no longer be there.
Diminish.
He could have killed his roommates. He could have killed anybody. It says he cooked food for his friends.
You do make a good point.
Never seen anything. Never
heard him say anything racial.
Right.
Take that for what you will, but I do think that your roommates are going to know quite a bit about you.
Of course.
It just doesn't make sense to me, the roommates out of the shooting. One, because I think this is one of these terrible, unforeseen,
dude, read this right here.
God-awful circumstances.
So this right here, from here.
Yeah. Tyler Bayless said he shared a housing unit with Long at Maverick Recovery, a rehab facility in Roswell, Georgia, between August 2019 and February 2020.
So it was right before the pandemic.
Yeah, it was literally, it was like right before, at the onset.
Yep.
Quote, it was something that absolutely would torture him, Bayless said. He said Long was, quote, a deeply religious person. He would often go on tangents about his interpretation of the Bible and was distraught about his addiction to sex. I think what you just said about 5 minutes ago, I think probably sums up. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, here we go. Bayless said that on multiple occasions during his stay at the facility, Long told him that he had relapsed and gone to massage parlors explicitly to engage in sex acts.
There you go.
I think you were in a hammer in search of a nail on the point that you made there a little bit ago, is that I think this was somebody who was depraved and somebody who was in a church culture. It's not the fault of the church either. It's this guy. That he saw, he was being raised and believed in an institution that was telling him that his behavior was sinful, as is about every other human beings that exist. Right. We all sin. That's the main point of religion.
Right.
Side note. He was just, if he was a deeply religious person and go off on tangents about his interpretation of the Bible, I wouldn't be surprised if he was just somebody. I shouldn't say somebody. He was a man who, in the depths of his sex addiction, was tormented by his addiction, which he knew was wrong, with his religious brain that was telling him, yeah, this is why your behavior is wrong, and this is why your addiction is wrong. And then the psychopathic part of his brain goes, so why don't you just go kill him? Why don't you just go kill him? Why don't you just go cut him off? And I think that is more a logical, understandable way of how that happened, other than this dude who frequented massage parlors frequently. He did
Obviously,
this.
Obviously, he didn't have a problem with Asians.
He was clearly not animus against the Asian population. And that was another thing. So it was some blue check on Twitter tweeting about how misogyny is white supremacism and misogyny is about like belittling and fetishizing the Asian woman. I think that's like legitimately what she said. And it was just some. I'm sorry. It is some batshit lunacy. That is insane. If you think it's this act of evil was simply perpetrated along misogynistic and racist lines,
no,
I think you're a little bass-ackwards in the way you analyze evidence.
I gotta see what time.
Don't even.
No, we're good. We
don't even.
Got 10 minutes.
We got 10 minutes. All right. I guess
we can start wrapping up. So I wanted to lead in also. So with all that happened, I know it's terrible. Mm-hmm. It could happen to anybody. It didn't have to be a massage parlor. It could have been anything, any place, anywhere. So when we were going back to, or when we were talking earlier about, when we go places, we're thinking of situational awareness and the reason why you should carry one of these. Like I'm a strong supporter of just. And if you're not comfortable, I understand. Then don't.
That was a great point. Fantastic.
Then you have to be okay with knowing the consequences of
not carrying one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then other people choosing to carry one.
Right.
That was the point that I was going to make. It was if you're afraid of the gun, excuse me, and you don't personally want to use it, that's fine. Don't. That's the point a lot of Second Amendmenters make. Yeah. It's that it's okay. You won't have to, so I will, and protect me as well as
you. Yeah.
Because I know you're not coming to do me harm because you don't own a gun.
So when we think about going places, I'm always looking at when I walk into a place, exits. Where are the exits? And I don't want my back to a door, or even windows. Usually, I kind of stay away from the front of buildings.
I always sit in a corner.
Yep. I stay away from front of buildings, right by the door,
back right or back left corner. That's where I try and go in or get a booth.
Yep. So it's very, so I'm always paying attention to that. And it's weird. Madeline will look at me sometimes because I'll watch people. And because they're, they'll act a little just
I'm
like
also just a people watcher.
Yeah, me too. So, but I agree.
I'm a people watcher, but then also
we always try and figure out people's stories when they're sitting like at a bar or like at the restaurant. You're like, well, who do you think they are? They don't have wedding rings on. They're acting kind of weird, like it's a first date or a Tinder date.
Yep,
maybe they're married, but they just hate each other. And
I know exactly. You just try and deconstruct people's lives about two tables away from you, and they're probably doing the exact same thing to you. But you're just sitting there going, "What the hell? Where do you work? Where do you live? As a matter of fact, what do you do?"
Anyways,
no, but I'd say you're absolutely right. In the sense of you become more situationally aware. And then if you don't want to carry a gun and you don't feel safe doing it, don't.
Yeah.
That's a decision you can make. I'm going to because I can, and I
12% of Iowans
do. So
0.05% of New Yorkers.
Yeah, something like that.
0.03%, maybe.
I think. Man, that's which is insane to me. And how much violent crime still occurs there.
Imagine that. Yeah, in Chicago.
Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk that coming? And that's actually a perfect point. Just because a civilian can't buy a gun legally doesn't mean the violent crime with guns cease happening.
Mm-hmm. Just happened in Chicago. That party, did you see that?
Mm-mm.
Somebody went. There's a big party in Chicago, and somebody inside shot up the party and killed several people. And someone was live streaming what was going on.
Right.
There's just dead bodies on the ground, and they're walking around like it's not a big deal. I mean, this is Chicago, and it looked like a pretty rough part of Chicago.
It was a rough part of Chicago. Right. It's around the White Sox Stadium in South Side Chicago.
But these people literally were walking around, and there's dead bodies on the ground, and they're just like live streaming like it's not a big deal. And I'm like,
literally,
how the hell did you not run 5 miles away from that place?
If you hear a gunshot that you're not expecting to hear, you'd run.
That's how desensitized people are anymore to violence that live in big cities or that are used to being around that sort of
desensitized is a perfect word. You've gotten to a point where you just go,
okay,
it's a Tuesday.
We'll party again tomorrow.
Sorry Derek got killed, but he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Man,
just a poor argument. Because that's you wonder where young black males get, or who they get killed by, or how they get killed.
But I will say that I think the majority of the people at this party were.
Well, no offense to Chicago, but it's Chicago. It's predominantly.
And I'm not saying that's why it all popped off that way, but obviously I think it was gang related.
The inner city culture. It was an inner city.
I think it was gang related. I'm not 100% sure on that. I haven't actually looked at any of the news articles since I heard about the shooting, but I'm pretty sure it was probably gang related.
I mean, knowing inner city Chicago, probably.
I'm just assuming.
Yeah, but I'd say that once again, I think this is one of those you using information that you've had before you, in the past, and just going, this is how Chicago is. I'm not saying it's bad or the people that live there are inherently criminal.
Chicago's terrible.
Yeah, Chicago's god awful. But it doesn't mean it doesn't mean every individual in Chicago is a criminal. That's not what Kurt is saying. What Kurt is saying is that yes, in the south side of Chicago, there's a lot of criminal behavior, and then there is a house party where guns just go off and everybody goes, well.
Because I mean,
it's a day ending in Y.
Chicago's actually really cool to visit, man.
It's amazing. I love it.
It's super cool. Like
I like walking around downtown Chicago.
That's all we did was walk around in downtown Chicago.
You can't drive.
Yeah, I paid $100 and some odd to park in one of those parking for 2 days. But whatever.
Say I love walking around Chicago, but there's a frightened element to it because there is an elevated crime rate because
and I couldn't carry there.
It doesn't stop the dude who just bought the piece on the corner.
But that makes me nervous because I'm a law-abiding citizen. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to take my gun. I'm not going to carry because I can't. But you're telling me I can't. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I can constitutionally, But according to your laws here,
your state laws, your reciprocity laws will not allow me to.
So I'm going to law abide. But if I get shot, then
I'll be suing your ass from the grave.
If I live,
you best believe I'll be suing your ass from the dead, man.
So but even when I'm not carrying, I'm always more aware of my surroundings, just for that reason.
I've always been just kind of. I've been an aware person. I always have been. At least I try to be. I feel like you're missing out on quite a bit if you're not aware. As far as like what's actually going on, or
what the fuck is going on,
or just in tune to your surroundings, like just knowing what's happening around you, being aware of your personal space as well as other people's. That kind of idea. Just being aware of the situation.
So
yes,
anyways.
No, you're fine. I think what I will kind of what I'll leave this off on is kind of a point that you made, is that you don't know what was in that CNN article, the wrong place, wrong time scenario is.
You don't know if you'll ever be in one of those.
You don't know if you'll ever be in one of those, and majority of the time that's what happens is that it's an individual was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and then they were at the receiving end of evil when they shouldn't have been, and it's terrible. What's something that you as an individual can do to make sure that if you are, God forbid, ever put into one of those situations,
at least you have a better odds or chances.
You have a better chance of survival if you're able and willing to defend yourself. And I think more humans, more individual,
willing and able.
If you're not able or willing to, this is a point that you made. If you're not willing and able to, at the very end of this line, take somebody's life who's willing to take yours, then don't do it. I'm able to do that.
I'm definitely okay with
I'm able and willing to do that, Lord, God forbid. But it's something I'm prepared to do because I care about the people that I care about, and I want to defend myself and my loved ones and my property.
And I would feel like my conscience would be clear if I knew that I was just defending myself or anybody else that was innocent in a situation like that. Not even just my loved ones, any innocent person,
bystander, an innocent civilian, somebody who is just going about their day-to-day lives, and then somebody says, forfeit your rights, they're not mine. Which is what murder.
Anybody just doing evil, I will stop you. I don't care.
I have no problem with quashing evil, because evil is evil, and you can quash it. I think I've said this before, but buy a gun. buy a gun. And then, well, I guess now in the state of Iowa, here in a few
take classes.
Absolutely take classes. That's fantastic. At least
an online course, and then once you've passed that, go get a little bit of training on a range. Like actually, I would recommend. I didn't actually do it. I probably should have, but I went shooting a lot right after I got my my first handgun. Like I went every weekend for like 2 months straight, and I spent a lot of money. It's a little
expensive.
I mean, I spent a lot of money, but it got me way more comfortable with knowing more about a gun and how to handle it.
Well, and that's because that's usually where you hear people getting hiccuped on, is that it's like, well, I have no experience, I haven't done it enough, and it's like
anything.
It's one of those situations.
You can't just get on a bike and ride it.
Yes, it's one of those situations. Like, fine, if you don't want to go buy the gun and then go to the range to then try it, fine. Come to the range with me. I'll take you, and then I'll show you how to shoot my gun. I'll show you how to shoot it, and it'll be
proper safety.
Exactly, and it's not that hard. It's so much of gun safety is common sense.
I mean, look, you're at a range, all right. You always, when you're at a range, you keep it open like this, first of all.
Until you're ready
you're ready. You have it on the table in front of you like this. Sorry, I'm not pointing it at you.
How dare you?
You have it on the table in front of you, pointing downrange. Always downrange.
Always downrange.
And then after you've emptied your clip, you take your clip out, and guess what? You do this again, and you put it back on the table. You keep it open like this. You put it back on the table.
Makes it so it's
until you're ready to load.
Without bullets is as effective as a paper.
It's a freaking paper clip. You can't do
You can't do shit
with this. I'm sorry.
You can hit somebody.
It's a little heavy.
You can hit somebody really hard. You can throw this at them.
Put a knot in their head. But
that gun is not going to do anything. It can't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's
an instrument of destruction. You point it at things you are willing and able to destroy, and that's something that you, as an individual human, can determine.
And what's cool about this, the reason why I got this gun, the reason why I like this gun. So right now, there's nothing in it. Doesn't matter. There is no actual like thumb safety. There's a trigger safety right here. So I'm pulling on this.
Palm safety, or
there's two safety. No, there's a trigger safety. You see this little?
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So I can pull on this trigger,
It still won't work. You need the palm safety.
It won't work. I can pull on this all day long. It's a 2-point. It's a 2-point safety. So I have a palm safety. If I have this here and then I have this here,
ready to
then
kill.
it goes. But I can't just take it and just grab it and
pull the trigger. My gun's the same way. I have 2 safeties.
Yours is a thumb.
Yep, I have a thumb manual safety, and then I have a palm safety.
Yep.
If I'm palm, if I'm full squeeze, but my manual safety's on, it's not doing shit.
Yep.
That's off, but I'm not squeezing the palm. Can't do shit.
Yep.
Look at that.
It's fantastic.
Just like that, you can safely own a firearm. and I think that's as terrible as that situation is in Georgia, and as I'm sure that's a point that we've landed on this show before, is that it's, if you're willing, have the time, I'm just gonna say willing again. If you're willing to undergo the training and the understanding of the firearm, and then also the common sense rules that follow with carrying and concealing it, I have no problem with you doing that.
Nope.
And it's for situations like what happened in Georgia here recently, when some kook who is at his wit's end doing a terrible thing can be stopped by a good person who says,
imagine if one of those people were armed. Because he did it with a handgun. It was a 9mm handgun. Imagine if just one of those. I mean,
one
you would
other
have
guy
to aim, and then that's
a lot of rounds. That's a lot of rounds.
So in a time,
yeah.
I mean, you can't just go in there, pop, 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 pop. It doesn't work that way. You're aiming at someone, and then you're aiming at someone else. Because if he killed that many people,
which has to be so goddamn personal. I couldn't even believe, and
but
I don't know how you could just
think of it this way.
Point, that's what I'm saying.
If
that
you
this
have
is literally a psychopath.
You only need a half a second. Man.
It's literally, especially if you have one in the chamber. It's literally just
boom,
and you're gone. I'm sorry, and you are, because you at that point you have forfeited all of your rights.
Absolutely.
Because you're coming to take mine.
I'm going to take you out.
So you forfeited your right to life because you're saying that mine is null and void. And that's the way negative laws work, and negative rights work.
What's crazy nowadays is that all these gun bills that are being introduced in the
how they're trying
to get rid of that.
Well, they're trying to get rid of that, but then
make it common AR-15.
Make it so that essentially, if I were to protect myself with this gun, Smith & Wesson would be liable for the person at the receiving end of that bullet, which is absurd. I'm sorry, you can't do it. It's like, hey, we're going to sue Toyota because a few cars got into an accident this year. It's the same argument.
Some drunk driver hit somebody,
and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It does not work.
Are you shitting me?
It does. It's not. That's just not how it works. And to think that that's going to stop evil people from acquiring weapons to do damage to non-evil people, you, for layman's terms, you are a moron.
All I gotta say is come and take it. Or there's words
don't tread on me.
There's several words. All right, so it's what is it? 9 words that you never want to hear, or that you should never believe is I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
It's a quote from Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan.
I'm here from the government. I'm here from the federal government, and I'm here to help.
Yeah, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Yeah,
which is
that's a lie. And then second is I will say firmly all the time, I will not comply. Like if you ever try and come take that right there, or you try and come take this from me, illegally.
Yes.
If I become a felon and I still have these, yes, I understand.
I have a felony.
My rights are out the window as far as
my rights to own a weapon.
Right.
But the federal government, just shows up after enacting some law in D.C., which isn't even a goddamn state. Yeah. You just enacted some law telling me that I couldn't own an AR-15 above a 25-round mag.
Above 10 now. They're trying to make it 10. Yeah. And they're actually literally trying to get rid of just common AR-15s. You can't. Like, I wouldn't even be able to have that. That's what they're trying to pass right now.
It's dumb.
It won't pass. Even if it passes, it has to then go through the Supreme Court, which I'm hoping the Supreme Court would be like, well, that's unconstitutional.
How are you going to enforce it?
Yeah, how are you going to enforce it? Oh, I lost it in a boating accident. I'm sorry.
Well, it's like that terrible house fire.
I lost all my guns in a terrible boating accident.
Yeah,
the boat's fine.
Yes, boat's fine, but they all just took a tumble off. Because it's that, and then. Well, you hear the argument from kind of progressive lefties, like, do what Australia did, just buy them back. Yeah, because that worked out really well.
Oh, yeah.
They really bought them all back to then just have people lie and say that they didn't sell them back to the government. What do you mean? Like, this doesn't work.
now look at Australia. How protected do you think they are against China? Like if China was to come into Australia,
that's actually a fantastic point.
Think about it.
All they got to do is just
walk
on down.
Walk right on.
They just got to walk. Just do some island hopping.
At least
and they're right
here,
there.
at least here, any country that tried to come here would have some problems.
Nobody.
Major.
That's why I've always. I remember even growing up and thinking about this. I would talk to my dad about it because I would play Call of Duty, and Call of Duty is nothing but people invading the United States and somehow getting away with it. But my dad would literally be like,
yeah, exactly.
Somebody's invading the United States. They're not making it past the coast.
Good luck. Yeah.
They're going to be stopped by the Army, the Coast Guard, the National Guard, the Marines. Yeah. Every branch of the armed forces is going to be right at the back door.
And then how many armed citizens?
And then the fact that there are as many guns as there are people in circulation in the United States of America, specifically for this exact situation, or like what you said, our government just coming to the door and saying, yeah, you can't own this anymore. The follow-up question is, why? Yeah. And then now...
You're on my property.
You're on my property. Why do you want my guns? Who owns all the guns now?
Yeah.
And why do they have all the guns? Then it usually goes, oh, well, it's the police and the military, which is great for, using against people left of center. It's like, I thought the police were racist, and I thought the military was nothing but baby killers and killing brown people. I thought that's what the military was to you. That's all the argument you have to make, and that is why the Second Amendment exists. And that's why you should own a gun.
Yes.
You stop government tyranny, foreign or domestic, or even somebody who's coming to do you harm and strip you of your rights guaranteed to you by God. So buy a gun. Buy a gun, as Kurt always says, one in the chamber. Buy a conceal and carry permit, and go through all.
Honestly, there's no point in carrying a gun if you don't have one in the chamber. I'm a firm believer in that.
No respect.
I'm sorry.
I will say.
I know some people say, well, I want to actually think about it and decide if I want to. No, there may be a time when you don't have one
split-second decision. You're not going to be able to.
There ain't no point of having a gun if you're not going to have one in the chamber. I'm sorry. You need to be ready.
We'll leave it on that. You need to be ready.
Cheers.
Cheers to you.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And listening to our rants.
Gun tangents and rants.
We won't talk about guns next time. I know we kind of do that. We've done that often, but
because guns are fun.
It's relevant. Yeah, guns are.
And that was the main kind of the reason that we landed on that tonight, was that it was topical and local, and as well as just national news as well.
That's why we did it.
Thank you all.
Cheers. Take care. Until next time.
Have a good one.
Next time we might have a